Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome all to today's reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we've been reading from chapter 14 of the Adi Lila. And let us continue reading from verse 18 today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hari Om Tat Sat. महोत्सव कर सब बोलाहा ब्राह्मण आजी दिन भाल करीब नाम करण. I propose to perform a name-giving ceremony. We should observe a festival and call for the Brahmanas because today is very auspicious. Purport: it is a Vedic principle to observe a festival in connection with Narayan and Brahmanas. Giving a child a particular name is among the purificatory processes known as the Dasha Vidha Samskar, and on the day such a ceremony one should observe a festival by worshipping Narayan and distributing prasadam, chiefly among the Brahmanas. When Nilambar Chakravarti, Shachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra understood from the marks on the Lord's lotus feet that child Nimai was not an ordinary child, they should observe a festival for his name-giving ceremony. In this connection, we can particularly see how an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is ascertained by his bodily symptoms. His activities and the prediction of the Shastra. By factual evidence, a person can be accepted as an incarnation of God, not whimsically or by the votes of rascals and fools. There have been many imitation incarnations in Bengal since the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. But any impartial devotee or learned man can understand that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was accepted as an incarnation of Krishna, not on the basis of the popular votes, but by evidence from the Shastras and bona fide scholars. It was not ordinary men who accepted Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the beginning, his identity was ascertained by learned scholars like Nilambar Chakravarti, and later all his activities were confirmed by the 6 Goswamis, especially Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Rupa Goswami and many other learned scholars. With evidence from the Shastra, an incarnation of God is such from the very beginning of his life. It is not that by performing meditation one can become an incarnation of God. All of a sudden, such false incarnations are meant for fools and rascals, not for sane men. Verse number 19. Sarva lokera karibe ihan dharana poshana vishwambara nam ihar aita karana. In the future, this child will protect and maintain all the world. For this reason, he is to be called Vishwambhar. Purport: the Chaitanya Bhagavat confirms that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by his birth has made the whole world peaceful. As in the past, Narayan protected this earth in his incarnation as Varah, which is the boar incarnation. Because of his protecting and maintaining this world in the present Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as Vishwambhar, which refers to one who feeds the entire world. The movement inaugurated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was present 500 years ago, which is more than 500 years ago now, is being again propagated all over the world, and factually we are seeing its practical results. People are being saved, protected and maintained by this Hare Krishna movement. Thousands of followers, especially Western youth, are taking part in this Hare Krishna movement, and how safe and happy they feel can be understood from the expressions of gratitude in their hundreds and thousands of letters. This is the first-hand experience of Srila Prabhupada. The name Vishwambar is also mentioned in the Atharvaved Samhita 3.3.16.5. Vishwambar Vishwena Ma Bharasa Pahi Swaha. So Atharvaved already predicted that this is going to happen, that Lord Krishna will advent as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Kali Yuga, in this particular cycle of Kali Yuga which we are going through now. Not every Kali Yuga Mahaprabhu comes. The Kali Yuga we are in is one of the special ones where this avatari comes. Verse number 20. Shuni Shachi Mishrera Mane Anand Badila Brahmana Brahmani Ani Mahotsav Kaila. After hearing Pilambar Chakravarti's prediction, Shachimata and Jagannath Mishra observed the name-giving festival in great joy, inviting all the Brahmanas and their wives. Purport: it is the Vedic system to observe all kinds of festivals, including birthday festivals, marriage festivals, name-giving festivals, and festivals marking the beginning of education by specially inviting Brahmanas. In every festival, the Brahmans are to be fed first, and when the Brahmans are pleased, they bless the festival by chanting Vedic mantras or the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Verse 21. Tabe keta dine prabhura janu sankramana nana chamatkar tatha karaila darshan. After some days, the Lord began to crawl on his knees, and he caused various wonderful things to be seen. Purport: the Chaitanya Bhagavat describes that one day while the Lord was crawling upon his knees, the bells on his waist ringing very sweetly, a snake came out to crawl in the yard of the Lord, who captured the snake like a curious child. Similarly, the snake coiled over him. The Lord, as a child, then rested on the snake, and after some time the snake went away, leaving the Lord aside. Verse 22. Krandanera chale balaila hari naam nari sab hari bale hase gora dham. The Lord caused all the ladies to chant the holy names of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra on the plea of his crying, and while they chanted, the Lord would smile. Purport: in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, this pastime is described as follows. The Lord with his beautiful eyes would cry, but he would stop immediately upon hearing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. When the ladies, understanding the fun of the Lord, discovered that he would cry and then stop upon hearing the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, they all took it as a cue to chant Hare Krishna as soon as the Lord cried. Thus it became a regular function. The Lord would cry and the ladies would begin chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, clapping their hands. In this way, all the ladies of the neighboring houses would assemble in the home of Shachimata to join in the Sankirtan movement 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day, yes. As long as the ladies continued to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the Lord would not cry but would very pleasingly smile upon them. Let's move on to the next verse, verse number 23. Tabe keta dine kaila padas sankramana shishu gane mili kaila vivid khelana. After some days, the Lord began to move his legs and walk. He mixed with other children and exhibited various sports. Verse 24. Ekadina shachi khahi sandesha aniya bata bhari diya baila khao ta basiya. One day, while the Lord was enjoying his playful sports with other little children, Mother Shachi brought a dish filled with fused rice and sweetmeats and asked the child to sit down and eat them. Eta bali gela shachi grihe karma karite lukan lagila shishu mritika khaite. But when she returned to her household duties, the child hid from his mother and began to eat dirt. Verse 26. Dekhi shachi dhana aila kari haya mati kari lana kahe mati kene khaya. After seeing his mother, Shachi hastily returned and exclaimed, "What is this? What is this?" She snatched the dirt from the hands of the Lord and inquired why he was eating it. Verse number 27. Kandiya balena shishu kene kararosha tumi mati khaite dile mora kiva dosha. So Kandiya is while crying. There's a famous Vaishnav bhajan. Now I understand what this Kandiya means. Crying, the child inquired from his mother, "Why are you angry? You have already given me dirt to eat. What is my fault?" Verse 28. Khai sandesha anna yateka matira Vikara eho mati seha mati ki bheda vichar. Fused rice, sweet meats, and all other eatables are but transformations of dirt. This is dirt, that is dirt. Please consider what is the difference between them. So God is actually enlightening us that every eatable which we are eating is coming from the ground itself. Verse 29, Mati deha mati bhakshya dekha vichari avichare deha dosha ki balite pari. This body is a transformation of dirt, and the eatables are also a transformation of dirt. Please reflect upon this. You are blaming me without consideration. What can I say? Purport. This is an explanation of the Mayavad philosophy which takes everything to be one. The necessities of the body, namely eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, are all unnecessary in spiritual life. When one is elevated to the spiritual platform, there are no more bodily necessities, and in activities pertaining to the bodily necessities, there are no spiritual considerations. In other words, the more we eat, sleep, have sex, and try to defend ourselves, the more we engage in material activities. Unfortunately, Mayavadi philosophers consider devotional activities to be bodily activities. They cannot understand the simple explanation in the Bhagavad Gita 14.26. Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitayetyan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Anyone who engages in spiritual devotional service without motivation, rendering such service for the satisfaction of the Lord, is elevated immediately to the spiritual platform, and all his activities are spiritual. Brahma Bhuyaya refers to the Brahman, which is the spiritual activities. All the Mayavadi philosophers are very eager to merge into the Brahman effulgence. They have no Brahman activities. To a certain extent they recommend Brahman activities, which are for them means engagement in studying the Vedanta and Sankhya philosophies, but their interpretations are but dry speculations lacking the varieties of spiritual activity. They cannot stay for long on that platform of simply studying Vedanta or the Sankhya philosophy. Life is meant for varieties of enjoyment. The living entity is by nature full of enjoying spirit, as stated in the Vedanta Sutra 1.1.12, Anando Mayo Abhyasat. In devotional service, the activities are variegated and full of enjoyment. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 9.2, all devotional activities are easy to perform, susukham kartum, and are eternal and spiritual, avyayam. Since Mayavadi philosophers cannot understand this, they take it for granted that the devotees' activities, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, etc., are all material and are therefore Maya. They also consider Krishna's advent in this universe and his activities to be Maya. Therefore, because they consider everything Maya, they are known as Mayavadis. Actually, any activities performed favorably for the satisfaction of the Lord under the direction of the spiritual master are spiritual, but for a person to disregard the order of the spiritual master and act by concoction, accepting his nonsensical activities to be spiritual, is Maya. One must achieve the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the mercy of the spiritual master. Therefore, one must first serve the spiritual master, and if he is pleased, then we should understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is also pleased. But if the spiritual master is displeased by our actions, they are not spiritual. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur confirms this. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. Activities that please the spiritual master must be considered spiritual, and they should be accepted as satisfying to the Lord. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as a supreme spiritual master, instructed his mother about the Mayavad philosophy by saying that the body is dirt and eatables are also dirt. He implied that everything is Maya. This is Mayavad philosophy. The philosophy of the Mayavadis is defective because it maintains that everything is Maya, but the nonsense they speak while saying that everything is Maya, the Mayavadi philosopher loses the opportunity of devotional service, and therefore his life is doomed. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore advised Mayavadi Bhasya Shunile Hai Sarvanasha. This is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 6.169. If one accepts the Mayavad philosophy, his advancement is doomed forever. Verse number 30. Antare vismita shachi balila tahare mati khaite jnana yoga ke sikhale tore. Astonished that the child was speaking Mayavad philosophy, Mother Shachi replied, who has taught you this philosophical speculation that justifies eating dirt? In the philosophical discourse between the mother and the son, when the child said that everything is one, as impersonalists say, the mother replied, if everything is one, why do people in general do not eat dirt but eat the food grains produced from the dirt? Verse 31. Matira vikar anna khaile deha pushti haya, mati khaila roga haya deha yaya kshaya. Replying to the Mayavad idea of the child philosopher, Mother Shachi said, my dear boy, if we eat earth transformed into grain, our body is nourished and it becomes strong, but if we eat dirt in its crude state, the body becomes diseased instead of nourished, and thus it is destroyed. Matira, this is verse number 32 now. Matira vikara ghate pani bhari ani mati pinde dhari yabe shoshi yaya pani. Ghate is the water pot. In a water pot, which is transformation of dirt, I can bring water very easily, but if I poured water on a lump of dirt, the lump would soak up the water and my labor would be useless. This simple philosophy propounded by Shachimata, even though she is a woman, can defeat the Mayavadi philosophers who speculate on oneness. The defect of Mayavad philosophy is that it does not accept the variety that is used for practical purposes. Shachimata gave the example that although an earthen pot and a lump of dirt are basically one, for practical purposes the water pot is used, whereas a lump of dirt is useless. Sometimes scientists argue that matter and spirit are one, with no difference between them. Factually, in a higher sense, there is no difference between matter and spirit, but one should have the practical knowledge that matter, being an inferior state of existence, is useless for our spiritual blissful life, whereas spirit, being a finer state, is full of bliss. In this connection, the Bhagavatam gives the example that dirt and fire are practically one and the same. From the earth grows trees, and from the wood comes fire and smoke. Nevertheless, for heat we can utilize the fire, but not the earth, smoke or wood. Therefore, for the ultimate realization of the goal of life, we are concerned with the fire of the spirit, not the dull wood or earth of matter. So we shall continue our reading from here onwards next time. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hare Krishna. And I'm sure you all had a wonderful Kartik month, which only ended yesterday, and today is the start of the month of Keshava, and soon Gita Jayanti will be coming. Hare Krishna.